Good evening, one and all. A very good evening, one and all present here. On behalf of PrimaxEduAcademy, hearty welcome all the participants and dignitaries and also resource person. Today workshop is a 5-day basic data analysis using SPSS for beginners. It will be very useful for all the research scholar and faculty member to do that paper as well as their PhD thesis actually. Everybody aware about that research methodology, but where we are going to apply the tools that we are lacking. So today onwards, total 5 days we are going to conduct. At the end of the fifth day, you will be carrying the amount of knowledge, all fruitful information. So thank you. Now it's over to Professor Rajeshwari to take over the session.
Gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom. Sharing it is the first step to humanity. Happy evening to all. On behalf of PrimaxEduAcademy, I would like to welcome you all to this 5-day national level online workshop on basic data analysis and its interpretation using SPSS for beginners. We appreciate you for taking time off your busy schedule to join us today. We hope you will learn a lot in these 5 days about basic data analysis using SPSS. Now, it's time to thank our Almighty by prayer song. I invite Ms. R. Priyadarshini for prayer song.
Vakratanda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvadam Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhirvavatu Me Sada Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Priya. Welcome address. Greetings to one and all. It's my privilege to address you all on behalf of PrimaxEduAcademy. I welcome all the participants and we are truly delighted with your presence. We all have gathered here today to attend this workshop to enhance the knowledge on SPSS. I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to the most eminent and honorable guests for this inaugural function. It's my proud privilege to extend my heartiest welcome to Professor Dr. Aman Agarwal, Professor of Finance, Dean International Relationship, Director, Indian Institute of Finance, Executive Editor, Finance India. I welcome you, sir, for this virtual workshop.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. I would also like to extend a hearty welcome to Dr. V. Selvaraj, Secretary, Primax Foundation, Bengaluru, a pillar of our foundation. I welcome you, sir, for this virtual workshop. I feel honored to welcome Dr. K.V. Ramanathan, Vice President, Primax Foundation. He is a person whose strong commitment and dedication which leads our Primax to greater height. I welcome you, sir, for this virtual workshop. Welcome, sir. I feel honored to welcome our most eminent resource person, Dr. Sindhu A.N., Assistant Professor, PG Department of Commerce, Mount Carmel College, Bangalore, and Dr. Karthikeyan Pathasarathi, Assistant Professor, School of Management Studies, Kongu Engineering College, Tamil Nadu. I welcome you, ma'am, and sir, for this virtual workshop.
Thank you very much.
I take this opportunity to welcome all the participants who have sincerely committed to this virtual workshop to make it a success. This event would have been impossible without the support of each and everyone present here. To conclude, I wish you all great success in your pursuits. Thank you. Guest introduction. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Professor Dr. Aman Agarwal. He is heading as Professor of Finance, Dean, International Relations, and Director at Indian Institute of Finance. He is editing the quarterly refereed Journal of Finance, Finance India, as its executive editor. He has served as director at Indian Institute of Finance Business School from 1999 to 2010. And editorial board member, co-editor of the Empirical Economics Letter, Research in Financial Economics, Global Finance Journal, a board member on Global Finance Association, USA, etc., and many more. His in-depth analysis and views appear frequently on radio, TV, newspapers with regards to financial policies, education, capital markets, and economic scenario of the country and the world. Some of these are All India Radio, BBC World Radio, Radio Russia, DD, etc. Professor Agarwal is invited to deliver lectures, chair technical session, and deliver keynote address at conferences on various aspects on business management and finance. His interests are international finance, corporate finance, derivatives, financial development, economic growth, banking, global financial system. He has published over 74 research papers in highly technical refereed journals. He is a gifted researcher and an excellent speaker. He has organized national and international conferences and chaired technical sessions, presented papers, and participated in over 278 conferences world over, including several universities in USA, UK, UAE, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Philippines, Romania, Singapore, Vietnam, etc. He is a visiting professor to universities in USA, UK, Europe, Russia, and South Asia. He is invited member on scientific committees of international conferences, associations, and observer to research projects. So we are glad and honored to have you here with us today. Now we request Professor Dr. Agarwal sir to deliver his keynote address to our participants.
Thank you for that warm introduction. I hope you're able to see me and see my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Very well. Thank you. I understand I'm given about 15 minutes, and I hope I should be able to contain my views within the next 15 minutes. When I was approached by Dr. Ramanathan, I thought to talk about the issue on research, given the fact that the whole conference focuses on a specific area with using SPSS, but then I thought it is important that people understand and the basic nuances of research, which I find are quite missing in a lot of papers which we receive, even not only within the country, but even where I'm empaneled as a referee of various journals across the globe, given the horse ride which is taking place in writing research papers across the globe with the country as well. This is a journal which we produce, and this work, in any case, brief presentation is there. As I said, I will contain it within the 15-minute time slot. What is important to understand in research is, this comprises of these two words, research. Many of us just look at it and think that, whatever we can do, copy, cut, paste, use softwares to evaluate and restructure so that the plagiarism is not caught. And then we have some data, some numbers. Some of us think that just printing tables or just using some basic tests or giving some graphs which come out from some of these beautiful softwares which do bibliometric analysis and others is research. My dear friends, that is not research. Research really means when you're actually going about searching and searching again, doing and investigating. It's more like a systematic investigation of both material and sources to establish facts and what you want to achieve. Research can be of all these three types. As we have been publishing the journal for the last 37 years, we get papers in all areas like theoretical, which includes conceptual, literature-based or modeling. Then empirical, which is both primary data and secondary data. In fact, I remember a thesis work done in Bangladesh, where it was later on objected by some of the professors because the sample surveyed by the research scholar was about 2.5 million people. And this was about 7 years back. He used Facebook and other social media interfaces to actually get his surveys filled up. And it was a behavioral study. And he was able to get responses from large number of people from across the globe. Now, there was a big question raised by the committee of the university, wherein they said, how could someone go about doing this research with 2.5+ million people responding to the survey? Now, which became a question for the scholar himself. I similarly remember another scholar, which is Harry Markovich. Some of you have heard of his name, of the portfolio theory of you don't put all your eggs in the same basket, diversification of portfolio approach, which is there, which he got his PhD work for, and then later on the Nobel Prize also. His thesis was rejected 3 times. Why? Because the people who were evaluating, who were supposed to check his work way back in the early 70s, were professors from economics and did not agree with this theory of portfolio evaluation, and as a result, respected. So we need to look at what we are doing and who is actually going to do. So a lot of work on primary and secondary becomes dependent on some of these aspects. In any case, the third component is also the policy-oriented research, which largely is done by international agencies like the World Bank, IMF, BIS, and others. But even scholars and professors do this policy-oriented research, which is more exploratory and based on theoretical and paper work done by the others. You see, what we intensely need is that interest, the research aptitude which needs to be there. We need to be deductive versus inductive. A lot of our works which we do are inductive in nature, with a lot of data, a lot of information, a lot of structures. If you're doing literature, a lot of copy paste and that we think we have done the work. No. Where is the analytics? Where is our mind's application? Have we devised something? Have we deduced something? Have we been to come out with something? Research gap is very critical. We do literature review, a lot of say, oh, this is the only gap, so I'm doing it. Very good. When you are trying to investigate something, there cannot be one gap, there will be multiple gaps. You can only attempt to suffice and attempt to do 1 or 2 or 3 gaps, but not all. So you need to identify those gaps and then go forward instead of just saying, this is what was visible and I did it there. And don't make it local. You need to look at the world is one village today with all internet-based information flowing through Scopus, Web of Sciences, and various other internet-based sources, even Bloomberg's and others. Qualitative versus quantitative is very critical. One of my colleagues who passed out with me from school was in one of our conferences. And he said, I have 387 papers. And I said, I'm really impressed. You have 387 papers published. He's in medical sciences. I said, I merely have been able to publish about 70 some papers with difficulty. And you have published 385. Today, it has become a horse race. Everyone says, I want to publish 4 or 5 papers. Now, let us do qualitative research and not quantitative. Your work will get acknowledged and known. Paul Samuelson got the Nobel Prize for a book in economics. A lot of researchers have not done so much work who got Nobel Prize. Certainly, survival is important. But again, research is critically more important when we're doing some of this research. When we look at the basic guidelines which are there, background and introduction needs to be worked upon well. Review of literature is very critical. Many of us tend to ignore it. We say, oh, we just do the numbers and that's it. Doing the maths, doing some tests, doing the KMO test or t-test or regression or econometric analysis, enough, done. No, it doesn't really work. Or use eViews or SPSS or Stata or some of the other softwares, online-based softwares, and that's done. No, that is not research. We need to first understand what we want to do, identify and review literature to get a better understanding of what people have done across the globe and what I want to entail upon. Identify gaps in those literature. Why do I want to undertake that research needs to be there. Then develop the research question and hypothesis. Then identify the research methodology based on the reviews of literature which you have studied, both from old to new, not only last 2 years, 3 years. Many of us say, oh, last 5 years of research I studied, good enough. No, it doesn't really work. We need to go classical to new and then analyze it. Analyzing and interpretation of results is also critical. Many of us just bring out the results, present the tables, t-test, this test, that test, and this is what the R value is and enough, end of story. No, it is not end of story. Where is your analysis and interpretation? What does it really mean is critically important, based on which you develop the conclusion. So when you're looking at these research works, it is important that you look at primary sources, secondary, terrestrial, old to new, and building a story is critical when you're understanding literature. Quoting research and referencing, not only in the beginning, but even when we are doing an empirical analysis and linking that work, whether it is substantiated with the literature which we have studied or not substantiated, going opposite, both can be given referencing, clearly shows that a person who's writing a research has the knowledge of writing the research. Identifying those gaps, questions not answered, and identifying core versus peripheral models. Defining objectives such as generating hypothesis, null and alternative. Defining source of data is also critical. Many of us tend to just pick up some source, and many of the times I see papers which do not even have the indication of where the source has been taken from, how much data has been taken, which areas they look. People will write work based on primary data study done in a small village in Bangalore or near Bangalore, and then they will say it is valid for India. Imagine a diverse country like India. How do you look at a behavioral or any other economic study, even digital-based study, which will be made generalized? So please be defining your source, and data adequacy is important. I will not go, given the paucity of time, into each one of these, but then I will just list them. You have these statistical methods which are helpful in terms of helping us evaluate some of the data and research. Technically, when we look at papers which come from Japan in specific, they look at long-term data sources ranging from 40, 50, 60, 70 years. In the US, also, they look at data streaming with 20 to 30 years, 40 years. In India, we look at shorter data streamings because we do not have many data sources. But then we have certain structures which need to be still followed. And if we are having a longer data source, these models give us better results, whether it is statistical models or econometric models, which are outlined here. ANCOVA, logic, product, ARC, GARC, EGARC, simultaneous equation models, various others, as I said, given the time. Then you have operation research techniques like PERT, CPM, transportation, linear programming, goal programming models, fuzzy goal programming models, stochastic goal programming models, queuing, and neural networks, which help us again analyze. Questionnaire surveys. The question research focus, which is based on the qualitative analysis of focus groups, hence semi-structured, more of behavioral studies or even policy-oriented works helps. Types of variables which we look at as outliners and missing values is critical in evaluating and stationary versus non-stationary data, in understanding those variables and then taking that forward. Outputs need to be both in graphs, as I said, not just graphs which are just brought in by bibliometric or other some of these softwares, but we need to even analyze them. In Europe, I saw specifically French and German papers, which I've been reviewing many times. They even analyze and put a small analysis at the bottom of the table or at the top of the table, so that not only in the text when people are reading, but if someone wants to read that table independently, he should be able to get a gist of what the table is wanting to do out and what is the author wanting to project through that table and what data needs to be looked at within that table itself, highlighting some of them as well. Graphs, regression equations, estimating values or errors, checking that white noise is very critical. Many papers don't do that. Parametric significance, test results, and relevance and robustness checks also many times are missing in some of the papers which get submitted to us. States of assumption, results outline, links with the literature, as I said, are critical. Identifying the limitations. If you are not able to expand your study, then point it out in the limitation. It is always good for a referee to go about looking at those limitations and understanding what you have done and what you have not done, so that one can get a clarity. And if it's a primary data study, Please give some inputs of a questionnaire. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for a referee to go about finding out exactly what has been done. Future scope of research is also critical. I will spend next 2-3 minutes giving you basic inputs, if Dr. Raghunathan allows me to do so, about the journal and what do we actually go about entailing and what is the structure we do.
Sir, please, sir, you can carry on, sir, carry on.
Submission guidelines are critical. Many of the authors, many papers we receive from full professors, from research scholars, they don't bother to look at. Many journals are very particular about it. Please go through those guidelines. Don't think that I followed a specified guideline, good enough. I've done research, that is good enough. No. Journals like to see in a certain format, a certain structure. Please see that that format is observed. Every journal specifies that. Spell check must be run. Many papers which we get from all over across the country, even sometimes in UAE, Europe, and other countries, have very poor English or spell check problems. Referencing is missing in most papers. Look at the editorial board of those journals. How refereed are they? Are they indexed? Well, how old are those journals? Just seeing a Scopus or ABDC doesn't help. Please go at the background and check a little bit about the journal before you submit to the journal. And know about the editorial policy. The journal which we publish has been running since 87, so it's been 37 years. Volume 37, number 1 is just going to be released this week. We have been publishing and referring. We have 6 Nobel laureates associated with us on the editorial board. The editorial board of over 140 people from across the globe. The journal is indexed by Scopus, UGC, ABDC. Web of Science is currently evaluating it. 49 plus global agencies and 200 plus UGCs and universities across the globe enlist our journal. Each issue is about 300 to 500 pages. We publish 4 issues in a year. And in any case, we do have provisions for collaboration with conferences. Some of the impact factors, I can clearly tell you, many of the research studies published in the journal have actually seen light of the day. Government of India, agencies like World Bank, IMF, ADB have taken decisions, Money Laundering Act in this country, FEMA, FERA, all of them have got created based on studies published in this journal. These are some otherwise which are being commonly seen here these days as citations and what scores are coming up as of now. When we look at some of the basic statistics in conference-based submissions which have taken place in the last 3 years, 546 submissions took place, out of which about 87 only got screened positive, and then they were conditionally accepted or sent back for revision and all. 435 were rejected, 20 papers were shifted to other conferences, and 4 were withdrawn. If we look at the normal submission process of the journal, 78 is the rejection rate for the last 6 years. We have roughly 1 paper which we receive a day, 321 papers are under review, average review period is 8 to 10 months, 6 full professors, 3 from overseas and 3 from within the country review the papers which are submitted to the journal. All of them are full professors, none less than a full professor. We do have express review process, and then there is a submission fee which is there for the journal. These are some of the conferences and the activities we have done. Just to give you a brief, again, given the 30 seconds which I have, I will skip some of these, some of the contributions, some of the outlets which have come out of the research work done by the Institute, like the Kisan Credit Card, the Education Says, the Money Laundering Act, even this digital rupee which is there is based on the cryptocurrencies which we suggested and M5 suggested, mobile munties, the World Energy Fund, the growth rate projections, the Kisan Credit Card, as I said, the Money Laundering Act, and also the tax incentive scheme, the portfolio approach which Nirmala Sitharaman is produced in the new framework. The labor exchange which UP and Delhi introduced as Rozgar Exchange is based again on our work on the labor things. With this, I would like to thank you and thank you for giving me these 15 minutes to share my views on research, and I hope the workshop is fruitful as I could see an extensive good program there.
Rajeshwari?
Hello. Yeah. So thank you so much, sir. Within a short period of time, you have given a very valuable, wonderful message for the audience about the research. Really kind of you. You have utilized, we have given a very short period because you have a very wide knowledge. And that to conclude in very short period, you have done a good, you have shared a good message to the audience participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay. So now I request Dr. K.V. Ramanathan to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good evening, one and all. Respected Professor Dr. Aman Agarwal, Professor of Finance and Dean, Indian Institute of Finance, Executive Director, Finance India, Greater Noida, India. Professor Rajeshwari, Chairman, Primax EduAcademy, Bengaluru. Our most valued invited resource person, Dr. Sindhu A.N. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Primax EduAcademy and the entire Primax family and my own behalf, extend very hearty thanks to Professor Dr. Aman Agarwal, Professor of Finance and Dean, Indian Institute of Finance, Executive Director, Finance of India, Greater Noida, India, for gracing your input for really important of research methodology and data analysis using SPSS. Really, I'm very impressed about your speeches, and also now I come to know a lot of aspects in this research. Very much thank for you sharing with your valuable knowledge today. I may express our sincere thanks for giving an excellent coverage to the specific topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to take this opportunity to place on record and hearty thanks to Dr. Sindhu A.N. to deliver the data analysis using SPSS content for the forthcoming session. Thank you, ma'am. And I also extend my thanks to Ms. R. Priyadarshini or Pranav for their enormous cooperation for the success of the program. Last but not least, without your participation, the event will not be happen. So thank you all the participants to be a part of the program. Wish you all the best and God bless you. Thank you. Now it's a photo session will be there. All the participants are requested to switch on your camera. 1 minute only. All the participants, please switch on your camera. All the participants. All the participants, please switch on your camera. So thank you very much, sir. Wonderful picture. Really, very, very happy actually. I never ever seen such kind of, the delivery of lecture. Really very, very good, sir. We'll keep in touch with you in future also. We have a lot of program. So I want your full support, sir.
Thank you. It will be an honor and pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
अपना करियर फाइनेंस में बनाने के लिए ज्वाइन करिए इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फाइनेंस, एन आइलैंड ऑफ एक्सीलेंस इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ फाइनेंस. फॉर एडमिशन विजिट एट IIF.edu. टॉप बैंक्स या फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में काम करना चाहते हैं तो स्टडी एट इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फाइनेंस, एन आइलैंड ऑफ एक्सीलेंस इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ फाइनेंस. विजिट IIF.edu.